Ready? Ready.
What's up, guys? It's Pick'em with HuddleGG, and today we're going to answer a question that we get a lot of year in and year out, and that is, what does each flat zone do in Madden? Now, this is a great question because if you don't understand what zones you're putting out there on the field, or you don't understand what zones are part of the play that you call, you're not going to set your defense up for the best chance of success against what your opponent is running. You need to make sure that you understand what's actually on the field. So today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about what zones are available to cover the flat with our corners, with the outside and our slot or inside corners. We're going to talk about what each of those zones are designed to do. Then we're going to talk about the situation we can best utilize those in to make stops on the defensive side of the ball. So that being said, let's not waste any more time and dive right in. And like I said, the first thing we want to talk about are what zones are even available to our players. Let's first look at our outside corners. Okay, now when you go to an outside corner, if you just push the A button, you're going to pull up the different zones that we can put this player on. If you're not on that player to begin with, let's say you were on middle linebacker or something like that, you can always pull up that same menu by pushing Y, and the icon over that corner's head to the right, so you can see it's B here. So we're going to push B from there, and then you can see that we still have that same zone assignments here, but I'm just going to hover over to that player, and I'm going to push A to show what zones we can actually put this player on and adjust him to. Now, there's going to be 3 here that we're focusing on for our outside corners. We're going to see hard flat, we're going to have cloud flat, and we're going to have soft squat. Okay, now if we look at our slot corner or our inside corner, we bring up that same menu, you're going to see that we have different options for an inside corner versus an outside corner. So with an inside corner, we're going to have hard flat, which is going to play very similarly to what the outside corners does. But then there's 2 new ones that you didn't have with the outside corner. That's going to be your seam flat, and that's going to be your curl flat. So again, we're going to talk about all of these zones here today. We're going to talk about what they are designed to do on the field, how you can best use these to get more stops. So that being said, let's start to dive into what those outside cornerback zones do on the field. If we look at our outside cornerback adjustments again, we have the 3 options with hard flat, cloud flat, and soft squat. And what you're going to realize throughout this video is a lot of times the name of the flat zone actually suggests what it's going to do on the field for us. Now, before we get into the individual zones, we want to first look at where the flat area of the field is. So if we look to the right side here where we have this outside corner hovered, right? If we look, anything outside the numbers and underneath 5 yards is what we're going to deem the flat area of the field. Okay, so if we look back at what we have available for this player, the first one and the easiest one to identify is going to be hard flat. Okay, hard flat is going to play just as the name suggests. It's going to play hard to the flat. So what you're going to see is he's going to not get much depth at all playing the hard flat. He's going to be very aggressive playing down towards the line of scrimmage. So if our opponent was running something like a smoke screen out there, what you're going to see is that player is going to be right there and right on top of that zone, or right on top of that route, because he is designed to, again, play hard to the flat area of the field. He's not getting any depth with any vertical route. He is really sticking to anything underneath here. Again, outside the numbers is really where his area is, but he'll play right on those numbers, and you can see he'll come down and again attack this to the flat. Now, if our opponent was to run something like a normal flat, right? So let's just say they ran a flat zone from the inside player here. Let's just say they run a streak. Let me get that fade off there. Let me just say they run a streak here to the outside player like this, right? So what you're going to see is if we put that outside player on a hard flat, you're going to notice that even though there's a vertical threatening him right away, he's still going to play really aggressive down to that flat. And he is, again, not covering anything deep with the hard flat. So again, this one's probably the easiest flat that we're going to go over because he pretty much just has one job, and that is simply to cover hard to the flat. As the name suggests, you see, again, he pretty much ignores the streak route that's running right by him. And again, that's how it's designed to play, so there's nothing wrong with that. Just understand that if you're looking to take away something to the flat quickly, right? Your opponent's running flat routes, running back out on a swing or on a flat, a smoke screen, a quick out, anything like that. Hard flats are going to be the most aggressive defense for you to really attack those routes and possibly get a big turnover, but definitely have your cornerback there to make a stop on the field. Now, from there, the next one we want to look at for an outside corner is going to be a cloud flat. Okay, now cloud flat is going to be, again, as the name suggests, it's going to essentially play a cloud over the flat area of the field. So it's going to get more depth and then rally down to the flat once the ball is thrown there. Okay, so it's not going to play aggressive like we showed with the flat zone. It's going to get more depth. Anywhere from about 15 to 18 yards is about the depth you're going to get if you're not changing zone drops or anything like that. What you're going to see here is if we just run a streak and we do the same thing, right? Let's say that we do the same exact route combo that we did before, where we have the streak and we have the flat from the inside. You're going to see he's not going to aggressively play downhill towards that flat. another thing you're going to see is with the cloud flat, and this is the only flat from an outside corner that will do this, he's going to try to get hands on an outside receiver and try to reroute him to the middle of the field to help out the safety. Okay, so what you're going to see is if we go to say hike here, we're going to first see that he's going to get hands on that player, and then he's going to get depth, and then he'll rally down late to the flat. Again, he's not going to play aggressively to the flat. He's clouding over that flat. Again, as the name suggests, a cloud flat. But if we see to me, the most important thing that he has, the most important job that he has is getting hands on these outside receivers to slow them down and push them to the inside, because one thing that does attack cover 2 pretty well is this hole shot down the sideline. And obviously, if he gets his hands on the receiver and pushes him to the inside, that's a lot harder area for that receiver to attack. Now we're giving the safety less area to guard back here. And overall, it's just a good thing for our defense. But you can see even after he pushes that guy and reroutes him, he's still going to start to get depth, right? He is going to rally down late to the flat, but you're noticing how he's getting depth before he is rallying down to the flat, because again, he's essentially playing a cloud over that flat. When he realizes that he has nobody in this area, he's going to now rally down to what is now his responsibility, which again is to that flat area of the field. Another really good time to use this is if your opponent is running short corners to his side of the field. Now, depending on if you're on the short side of the field, the depth of that corner route, obviously certain clouds are better than others. But what you're going to see here is if they were trying to run something like this, that cloud flat's going to squeeze that corner out and make it a harder throw. And then he'd be able to rally down to that smoke screen later. So you're going to see here, he's going to get back. If they try to throw this, that's a lot harder throw because they can't throw it underneath because of our safety over the top. And then they also cannot throw it over the top, obviously, because we have that safety back there. So if we look at the replay here real quick, you're going to see, once again, this guy is going to get depth. You can see, obviously, it makes this a harder throw. You can't throw this flat to the sideline because this guy's to pick it off. You can't throw it deep because the safety's over the top. So we're kind of bracketing this player a little bit. And then once again, he would rally to the flat at the end if the ball is being thrown there. Okay, now that's what we're going to get with a cloud flat. Now, the last one we want to look at, and this one is probably the trickiest of the flats for outside corners, is going to be our soft squat. So if we put our guy on a soft squat, this is going to be a matching type zone, and we're going to try to teach it the easiest way we can when it comes to how those match rules play out on the field. And it's going to play what's called a trapping zone, where it's going to trap anything quick to the flat to his side of the field. So if they would run something like this to the right side, you're going to see that he's going to first get depth with the B on that vertical route, but then he's going to pin down and play man-to-man on that flat route to the A. Okay, so if we say hike here, you're going to see that he's going to go back initially, and then he's going to pin down, and he's going to play to the A. Now, that time he actually was pretty late in pinning down to it. You'll see certain route combinations, he'll get there a little bit quicker. But if we run that one more time, you're going to see, again, once again, if we do something like this, where we have a vertical and then we have the flat, and we do this, you're going to see that he is going to pin down to that. Once he realizes he's there, I would like him to pin down to that flat route a little bit quicker. But you will see that obviously he's playing more aggressive than a cloud flat, but he's going to play less aggressive to the flat than what a hard flat would, right? So again, cloud flat is going to be giving up this flat time and time again, and then you rally and make the tackle. Hard flat's going to really play aggressive and make sure that this flat is not anything they can throw. And then a soft squat, I would say, is a little bit in between those, where it's going to get depth initially, and then it will break and try to match down to something to the flat. It'll do this to running backs to the flat as well, to his side of the field. Now, if there's nobody going to the flat, he's going to have a different rule. Okay, so if nobody goes to the flat and we put a soft squat back on that player, he's going to carry or cover number 1 vertical. Okay, so if they ran something like this, where they have nobody coming to the flat quickly to the right side of the field, and you can see obviously both these receivers are going vertical, what you're going to see is that soft squat is going to play a trail technique, and he's going to cover 84, that outside receiver, down the field. Okay, so you see here, he is now going to match that, and he's essentially in man coverage at that point because nobody came quick to the flat, so he had nobody to trap. And now that's going to allow him to, again, convert to that man coverage and cover that vertical route. So if we look at the replay here real quick, you can see once he realizes that nobody's coming quick to the flat, again, inside receiver doesn't come quick to the flat, running back doesn't come quick to the flat, he now knows that he has this player vertical down the field. Okay, and you can see that he continually runs with him the entire way, and he is going to match this. And obviously you can see that we still have that safety help over the top. Okay, so this is a little bit different than our cloud flat. If we would have a cloud flat out there to that player, and we would do that same route combo where we do a streak and a fade, or a post and a fade, you're going to see that the cloud flat will cover it for a while, but he's not going to cover it all the way down the field. He's not matching. He's just clouding that flat area. So again, cloud flat is going to cloud the flat area. Hard flat's going to play hard down to the flat area. And then your soft squat's going to be your matching style zone here in cover 2, or these outside flat zones for the corners. And he's going to trap something quick to the flat. And if there's nothing quick to the flat, he's going to carry number 1 vertical, and he's going to match that route in those situations. Now, before we get into our slot or inside cornerback adjustments, if you guys like this video and you want us to do a series on this where we talk about different zones at each position, where we talk about our hooks or our yellow zones over the middle, we talk about the deep blues and all of that, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. And if we get to 200 likes on this video, we're going to go and make this a series where we'll now talk about the different zones that you'll see. So no matter what defense you come out in, you're going to know exactly what your team is doing. Again, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that like button. But let's get right back into it. And again, we're now going to talk about our slot or our inside corners. And the only two that we have additionally are going to be the seam flat and the curl flat. Again, hard flat is going to play very similarly to what our outside corner did on a hard flat. It's just going to play hard to the flat. And the only difference is they are typically going to be starting from the inside, a different leverage position. So they're not going to get out to that outside flat as quickly as an outside corner would. Okay, but other than that, that's really all you're going to see that's different from the hard flats. The next one that we want to really look at is going to be a curl flat, because this is obviously a different zone that we do not have with an outside corner. And a curl flat is going to do exactly as the name suggests. It's going to play to the curl area of the field, and then it's going to play down to the flat. Okay, so a curl area is if our opponent would run something like this, right, where they're going to have a curl to the outside receiver, and then they're going to get down to the flat. The curl flat should play underneath that curl first and then rally down to the flat late. Okay, so if they go to say hike, you're going to see he's going to get back with the curl, and then he's going to rally down to the flat at the end there. Okay, so again, curl flat, just as the name suggests, it's going to get depth. It's going to cover the curl area of the field, and then it's going to rally down to the flat area of the field. So if we look at this defender here again, he's going to get depth and help cover the curl area of the field. Now, he does get a little bit wider here just because of the formation. This guy's a little bit closer than what you'll see some other formations be. But again, he's getting out to this 10 to 15 yard mark here to the outside, kind of similar to a cloud flat from the outside corner in terms of where it's going to get to initially. But they do have a little bit different rules there. And again, as he gets there, you're going to see now rallies down to the flat to cover there. As the name suggests, it's not flat curl, it's curl flat. So he's going to play the curl area of the field first, and then he's going to rally down to the flat. Pretty self-explanatory there for that. Now, if we were to be more in the middle of the field, we're going to show you what that would look like here. So if we do that same route combo, but more to the middle of the field, and let's say that we come out in a more spread set, right? So let's say we come out in more of an empty set where that receiver is a little bit wider there. Obviously, the B is wider here. And now we do something like this. Oh, let me throw that away real quick. Messed up my adjustment. But if we do this where now we have a true outside receiver and not a compressed look there that 84 is at, you're going to see that curl flat's going to get underneath of the curl a lot better in that situation. So if they would run that same route combo over here to the right with a curl and a flat, and we put the corner there in the curl flat, you're going to see exactly what this will look like. He is going to get back underneath that curl, and you can see he's in a really good position, and then he's going to rally down to the flat after that. Okay, so again, you can see that the alignment of the offense can change exactly where these players get as well. If there's a receiver split out wide, you're going to see the curl flat's going to sit perfectly in that window, and then he's going to rally down to the flat at the end. Again, that's his job. He does a great job at doing it. Now, the last one we want to talk about here for the slot corner is going to be a seam flat. Now, a seam flat is going to be a matching style zone, and it's going to do what the name suggests as well. It's going to play the seam and the flat. So another way to think about this is it's going to play any route that goes out or up. Okay, so if they would run something like a flat, and then let's say this have a streak here, you're going to see that the seam flat is going to match or play man-to-man on the flat. And this is going to be to the number 2 receiver, the inside or slot receiver. And it's again, if he goes out or up, he's going to match it. Okay, so here you're going to see he's going to match that. He is now man-to-man on that player, and you can see he's right there in his hip, ready to defend the pass. Now, if that player were to run vertical as well, you're going to see he's going to match that also. So if we set that up again with our player, and we come out there with the seam flat, you're going to see that if number 2 goes vertical, he's going to match that, and he's going to carry that all the way down the field. Okay, now when is he not going to match or carry that number 2? Because obviously we saw if he goes quick to the flat, he's going to match him. If he goes vertical, he's going to match him. So the first thing he's not going to match is anything quick underneath. Okay, so if A goes quick underneath, you're going to see he's going to zone off and essentially play more like a curl flat. Okay, so in this situation, you can see if A, or that number 2 or inside receiver, goes quick to the flat, he's going to zone off and play more of that curl flat area that we saw on the previous reps. Okay, now the other times he's not going to match is if the number 1 comes underneath quickly. Okay, so if they set up something like this, and you can see that obviously number 1 is not going vertical, you're going to see that he is not going to carry the A anymore. So he's only going to carry the A vertical if both of these guys are going vertical, and he's only going to carry A to the flat quickly if one is going vertical as well. So one going vertical also plays into what he's going to do, because you'll see here, if we just go vertical with the inside and then the outside guy on a drag, and we set up the seam flat here, you're going to see that he's not going to carry the vertical anymore because number 1 is coming underneath quickly, and he's going to essentially just zone off into the area of the field, and he's not going to really match anything at that point. Okay, so number 1's route is very important as well when it comes to him matching, and you're going to see the same thing if we would do something like this, right? So you saw him cover the flat initially. If that B is going quick underneath, he's not going to cover the flat the same way. Okay, so if we do this, you're going to see, we say hike, he's not going to cover that the same way. Now he will rally back down there because he's going to play similar to a curl flat, but he's not going to match to the flat or quick to the outside unless number 1 is going vertical. Now when you can really use this effectively is when they start to run corner routes from these guys in the slot. So one thing we'll do here, let's say that they're running a route combo like this, right, where they're going corner and a streak to a 2 receiver or spread out set. If we would come out in more of a cover 3 look, just get a little bit better alignment, we put this guy on a seam flat here, you're going to see that he does a good job at playing with outside leverage to cover these corners from the slot. Okay, so if we say hike, you're going to see he's going to match that really well from his alignment, and you're going to be in a really good position to get a play or make a play on that ball, possibly get that turnover there. So again, when I like to use these seam flats is when my opponent is running some type of a spread set where the number 2 is looking to break to the outside. Okay, so out route, a flat, a wheel, again, a corner route, as you can see here. He's in really good position, really good leverage to cover that, and you can see he's in perfect position at the end of this play to make a play on that ball. Now, you're not going to see these guys match if it's not a spread set, okay? So that's important to understand. If they were to run something like tight Y off weak here, okay? So now they're running a tight formation. You're going to see that he's not going to cover number 2 vertical, even if 1 is going vertical as well. So you see here, obviously to the right side of the screen, we have both the guys going vertical. If we put that guy on a seam flat here, as you can see, we have the seam flat. He is not going to cover A vertical anymore. He's just going to sit in that area of the field as he did on one of those reps we just saw when he's not matching. Okay, so again, it's really important to understand if the receivers are not split out wide, he's not going to cover it the same way. He's not going to match. He's going to essentially play like a curl flat in those situations, or he's just going to sit still as we just saw with that previous rep. And then he's also not going to do anything if it's a stack alignment. As you can see to the left side of the screen, we're not going to get anything matching if it's stack or if it's a compressed set. So make sure you understand that with the seam flat. If it's not matching, it's going to play more so like a curl flat. And again, those are going to be the 2 additional zones that you can adjust your slot corners to, in addition to obviously hard flat. And then with your outside corner, we talked about cloud flat, hard flat, and then your soft squat. And these are very important to understand, because if you don't understand what your zone is doing out on the field, you're not going to know what it's covering, and then you don't know where you need to cover with your user. So make sure that you understand exactly where your players are going to be, which makes it a lot easier on your user defender to be where you need to be as well. And if you guys are looking to get even better at Madden, make sure to join our free Discord by going to HuddleGG/Discord.